Hello and welcome to a January TBR. January 2025. Can you quite believe we're here already? Also, I'm a little bit late with a TBR because we're here already. Whoops. Should have done this in December, but it's January now. Better late than never. But here we go with my first TBR of 2025. Now, I'm in a weird headspace with this where I want to read everything. And I'm blaming that on the fact that it's the beginning of the year. I am excited by an empty reading planner. I'm excited by a 0 reading goal so far. Obviously, I haven't read anything yet this year. I'm excited by a fresh start. A blank slate. So I'm looking around my library thinking I want to read absolutely everything. And therefore, really struggling to set a TBR. Who can relate? Can you all relate? January, blank slate, you're just like, I want to read everything, therefore I'm going to read nothing because I can't decide. That's how I'm feeling. But I've tried my very best to put a bit of a stack together for this. So, as always with my TBRs, tentative, flexible, might not read any of these, but will definitely read one, because one of them is my Patreon buddy read for the month. So, let's start there. Every month on my Patreon, my Ace Trainer tiers and above participate in a buddy read book club of sorts that is voted for by them. And the January options were all healing fiction because that's the vibe, that's the mood I'm in, that's what I want to read. So I'm dragging them along with me for that. And the winner from the poll was the Hunamdong Bookshop, or welcome to the Hunamdong Bookshop. This one I believe I did put on my December TBR and then I didn't get to. I read some other healing fictions instead. But I have been pretty eager to get to this one for a while now. This is about a woman who did everything in life she was supposed to do. She went to university, she got married, she got a good job, everything was like as it should be, but she wasn't happy and everything was falling to bits, and despite this like perfect life, she was burnt out and miserable. So she leaves it all behind, she quits her high-flying job and does the one thing that she has always wanted to do, and that is open a bookshop. Ta-da! Welcome to the bookshop. In a quaint neighbourhood in Seoul, surrounded by books, the customers take refuge from a lonely barista, unhappily married coffee roaster, a writer who sees something special. They all have disappointments in their past, and the Hunamdong Bookshop becomes a place where they learn how to truly live. Typical healing fiction vibes. All of these people are going through difficulties of their own, and they find a place where they can overcome that hurdle and achieve what they need to achieve. I am looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a nice one to start with. Whether I actually start the year reading this one, or I should probably wait until closer to the live show date for it, but I think this is going to be a nice, heartwarming hug of a book, or at least that's what I'm hoping for anyway. So this will be my Patreon buddy read for January, first one of 2025. I'm very excited. I also really like the dark option of the cover as well. I know that there is a version where the front cover is the dark version, which I think is beautiful as well, but I've got the nice springtime one. I'm really excited about this one, and as we know, I've been loving all of my healing translated fiction, so this one will probably be no different. Next up, I have just in this moment decided this is going to be the first book that I read for 2025. It is Dead Astronauts by Jeff Vandermeer. I feel like Jeff Vandermeer quite often ends up being a go-to for early in the year for me. I don't know why that's been, but I've just this moment decided that this is the one I'm going to read. This is the next book in the Born series, but it's not quite a series, but it's related to Born. I read Born last year before, can't remember, and really enjoyed it. The Southern Reach trilogy from Jeff Vandermeer is one of my absolute favourites. Strange Bird, which comes after Born but before Dead Astronauts, was a little novella that I loved as well, and I just haven't yet got to Dead Astronauts, and I think there was a bookmark in this not that long ago because I was intending on reading it and then I just didn't, and I've put it on my priority list for 2025, so let's start as we mean to go on and knock off a priority book nice and early. and also one that I've just been meaning to read for the longest time. I'm pretty sure this probably counts as a TBR vet as well, because I've been meaning to get to this one. When was this published? 2021, the paperback edition was published. So it's been on my shelf for a good long while, and I need to read it. This one follows 3 astronauts, Grayson, Morse, and Chen, who are rebels under the watchful eye of the company. They make their way through forces that would consume them. At stake is the fate of all the Earths. This is set in like a post-apocalyptic world where everything is kind of overlooked by this company. Jeff Vandermeer does these post-apocalyptic landscapes so well. Like, it's so horribly believable, and there's like this toxic waste of the world where things are just growing out of it, like Born from Inborn. The city has no name of its own. In the shadow of the company lives human and otherwise, the things coming out of the post-apocalyptic landscape. I expect this to be as wild and wonderful and horrible as all other Jeff Vandermeer books seem to be. I'm excited about this, and it is going to be my first read. It's happening. I have also decided, whilst I'm still on this healing fiction train, why not make January the month of reading more healing fiction, and I am going to read The Rainfall Market. This one is one I had been highly anticipating. If I had been able to get my mitts on this sooner than now, I probably would have already read it, but I'm so excited about this one. This one follows a young woman called Seren. Yes, Seren. And Seren gets an invitation to the Rainfall Market. The Rainfall Market appears after a monsoon. It is a magical market where you can trade your life for a better one. There are all sorts of magical shops, hairdressers, perfumeries in the Rainfall Market, but you can only go if you receive an invitation. And Seren is overjoyed to have received an invitation, and she has the opportunity to exchange her dull, dreary life for a more exciting one. But there is a catch at the market. If you are unable to find the life of your dreams to purchase, then you will be stuck at the market forever. I think this is going to be whimsical and magical and beautiful, and it's really teeny tiny. I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to read this one too. And whilst we're talking translated fiction, I also am really excited to get to Water Moon, which is something I've got pre-ordered. I'll pop the cover up here. This one is about a pawn shop where you can sell your like bad memories. You can give your bad memories away. But rather than following the customers of the pawn shop, it follows the new owner. And on her first day, she goes in to find the place ransacked. Her father is missing and all of the memories have been taken, I think. And a customer comes in, but rather than wanting to give something to the pawn shop, rather than asking for help from the owner, he offers to help the owner to go on this journey to find her missing father and the memories that have been taken as well. This one doesn't actually come out until the 16th of January, I do believe, so I haven't got it quite yet, but it is on pre-order and I'm looking forward to getting my mitts on that and diving in. I think that also sounds really magical and whimsical and wonderful, so fingers crossed, I love it. Moving on, I have decided I want to do a little bit more non-fiction this year, and one non-fiction book that I have been meaning to get to for quite a while is The End of Everything by Katie Mack. In fact, I started reading this a couple of years ago and I never finished it, and I'm really interested by the topic. So this is The End of Everything, astrophysically speaking, and this goes through, I think it's 5 different theories on the end of the universe, the end of everything, how it will all end or not end, and what the astrophysics theories on that are. I'm looking forward to this one. Weird science, beautifully explained, and let's just have a look at what the theories are. So the contents of this, we've got an introduction, Big Bang to now, and then the theories are the Big Crunch, heat death, the Big Rip, vacuum decay, and bounce. And I'm intrigued. astrophysics really intrigues me, and I have a bunch of astrophysics non-fiction that I need to be working my way through, so I am actually going to make progress on that, and I'm going to read the end of everything, and I will come back to you with a completely fried brain. Another one that has jumped out at me off the shelf for being a possibility for January is Earthlings. This one's been on my shelf for a little while as well, and I have heard weird things about this book. I have heard off-putting things about this book, but those weird things, apparently it gets kind of gross and weird and twisted, and I'm curious about that. This one is about Natsuki, who believed she was an alien, a different species to her family. She hoped a spaceship would come down and take her home, and now she lives quietly in an asexual marriage, pretending to be normal. The buried horrors of her past are pursuing her as she flees the suburbs for the mountains. In a reunion with her beloved cousin, she wonders what will it take to escape the Earthlings. So I'm not sure what the weird and twisted, gruesome element of this could possibly be, but I'm curious, I'm intrigued, I want to know. And it's been on my shelf for a while, and when I was just scanning around for possibilities for January, this bright green cover was just like, you're still curious about me, right? And the answer is yes. Yes, I am. So I'm putting it in my pile of possibility. And then finally, I thought, you know what this TBR is missing? Is some classic fantasy. So another one. My theme here is just things that I've been meaning to read for a while, clearly. Some new books, and some I've been meaning to read that. Because this is another I've been meaning to read that, and it is I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle. When I did a July of Dragons last year, I fully intended on reading this in that July, and then I didn't. End of story. That was exciting, wasn't it? But Peter S. Beagle is, as it says here, the best-selling author of The Last Unicorn. I love the story of The Last Unicorn. I love the book, I love the comic, I love the movie, I love The Last Unicorn. It's like nostalgic, weird kind of fantasy. Like the style of it is very old-timey, fairy tale, beautiful, love it, but also a bit weird as well. And this one being by the same author, I'm expecting will probably have that sort of vibe as well. The end pages covered in dragons. The title, I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons, is beautiful. Dragons are common in the kingdom. Really long-named character, who would much rather just be called Robert, has recently inherited his deceased father's job as a dragon exterminator, a career he detests with all his heart. Things turn from bad to worse when Robert is hired by the royal family to disinfest the entire castle, as the princess is determined to receive the Crown Prince Reginald with the shabby chateau looking its best. But what happens next is not the fairy tale you may be expecting. I'm curious. Sounds like a fun time. Sign me up. There is my little sprinkle of fantasy. And for me, you wouldn't expect it to be a little sprinkle of fantasy in amongst some other weird books. But, although I suppose actually, Watermoon and Rainfall Market are also fantasy. Or have fantasy elements. But, there we have my first TBR of 2025. I do expect to read outside of this. I have a couple of other video project ideas that I want to do in January as well, which will require me either picking from here or reading outside of here, depending on what happens and how that goes. I might not read all of this, I might read all of this and then some, who knows, but here is the first TBR of the year. It's actually not a ridiculous stack, which is quite nice. What is your first read of 2025 gonna be? Or, because we're already in January and I'm late, what has it already been? Let me know. I am curious to find out. But otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit whilst I chat you through some of my tentative reading plans. And I will see you in whatever comes next, which will be tomorrow, because I'm doing a bunch of back-to-back uploads, and I believe I have a December wrap-up coming for you. So I will see you in that one. See you there. Bye.